Welcome to Moth Inc. How may I help you? Well, Eric, I think we should stay the night down at the smithy. It's a much nicer place than that house. Might as well. Maybe I'll write a journal entry tonight as well. Come on, Eric, keep up. Oh, here we go. Just how I left it, apparently. I don't know who else lives here. But I think they will live here soon, eventually. I mean, I could sleep on the rug if you want the bed there, Eric. Or you're fine on the chair. That's fine with me, buddy. Either or, we'll just keep it cozy tonight and go from there. There you go, buddy. You can have yourself a drink. I am probably just going to get ready for bed. Don't know about you. But, yeah. All right. Well, I think before we head out, I think I might actually take a little break. Because I have a lot of books I still have to read. That's volume 4. I haven't read The Mirror. What is this? The Mirror by Breder Reams. The wind blew over the open plain, jostling the few trees within to move back and forth with the irritation of it. A young man in bright green turban approached the army and gave his chieftain's terms of peace to the commander. He was refused. It was to be battle. The Battle of Ain Kalar. So the chief, Ian Bez, had declared his open defiance, and his horsemen were at war once again. Many times the tribe had moved into territory that was not theirs to occupy, and many times the diplomatic approach had failed. It had come to this, long last. It was just as well with Mindothrax. His allies may win or lose, but he would always survive, though he had occasionally been on the losing side of the war. Never once in all his 34 years had he lost in hand-to-hand combat. The two armies poured like dual-frothing streams through the dust, and when they met, a clamor rang out, echoing into the hills. Blood, the first liquor the clay had tasted in many a month, danced like powder. The high and low battle cries of the rival tribes met in harmony as the armies dug into one another's flesh. Mindothrax was in the element he loved. After 10 hours of fighting with no ground given, both commanders called a mutual and honorable withdrawal from the field. The camp was positioned in a high-walled garden of an old burial ground, adorned by springtide blossoms. As Mindothrax toured the grounds, he was reminded of his childhood home. It was a happy and a sad recollection, the purity of childhood ambition, all of his schooling in the ways of battle, but tinged with memories of his poor mother, a beautiful woman looking down at her son with both pride and unspoken sorrow. She never talked about what troubled her, but it came as no surprise to any when she took the walk across the moors and was found days later, her throat slit open by her own hand. The army itself was a colony of ants, nearly shaken. Within a half-hour's time after the end of the battle, they had reorganized as if by instinct. As the medics looked to the wounded, someone remarked with a measure of admiration and astonishment, "Look at Mindothrax. His hair isn't even out of place." "He is a mighty swordsman," said the attending physician. "The sword is a greatly overvalued article," said Mindothrax, nevertheless pleased with the attention. "Warriors pay too much attention to striking and not enough in defending strikes. The proper way to go into battle is to defend yourself, and to hit your opponent only when the ideal moment arises. I prefer a more straightforward approach," smiled one of the wounded. "It is the way of the horsemen. It is the way of the Bullseye tribes to fail, then I recognize my heritage." said Mendothrax, making a quick sign to the spirits that he was being expressive, not blasphemous. "Remember what the great blade master Gaiden Shinjin said. The best techniques are passed on by the survivors. I have been in 36 battles, and I haven't a scar to show for them. That is because I rely on my shield and then my blade, in that order." "What is your secret?" "Think of melee as a mirror." "I look at my opponent's left arm. When I am striking with my right, if he is prepared to block my blow, I blow not. Why exert undue force?" Mendothrax cocked an eyebrow. "But when I see his right arm tense, my left arm goes to my shield. You see, it takes twice as much power to send force than it does to deflect it. When your eye can recognize whether your opponent is striking from above or at an angle, or in an upcut from below, you learn to pivot and place your shield just so to protect yourself. I could block for hours if need be, but only takes a few minutes or seconds for your opponent, used to battering, to leave a space open for your own strike." "What was the longest you've ever had to defend yourself?" asked the wounded man. "I fought a man once for an hour's time," said Mendothrax. "He was tireless with his bludgeoning, never giving me a moment to do aught but blow or block his strikes. But finally he took a moment too long in raising his kugel, and I found my mark in his chest. He struck my shield 1,000 times, and I struck his heart but once. But that was enough." "So he was your greatest opponent?" asked the medico. "Oh, indeed not," said Mendothrax, turning his great shield so the silvery metal reflected on his own face. "There is he." The next day, the battle recommenced. Chief Imbez had brought in reinforcements from the islands of the south, to the honor and disgrace of the tribe. Mercenaries, renegade horsemen, and even more reachmen, witches, were included in the war. As Mendothrax stared across the field at the armies assembling, putting on his helmet and readying his shield and blade, he thought again of his poor mother. What had tortured her so? Why had she been able to look at her son without grief? Between sunrise and sundown, the battle raged. A bright blue sky overhead burned down on the combatants as they rushed against one another over and over again. In every melee, Mendothrax prevailed. A foe with an axe rained a series of strikes against his shield, but every one was deflected until at last Mendothrax could beat the warrior. A shield maiden nearly pierced the shield with her first strike, but Mendothrax knew how to give with the blow, throwing her off balance and leaving her open for his counter strike. Finally, he met a mercenary on the field, armed with a shield and a sword and a helm of golden blaze. For an hour and a half they battled. Mendothrax tried every trick he knew. When the mercenary tensed his left arm, he held back his strike. When his opponent rose his shield, his shield rose too and expertly blocked. For the first time in his life, he was battling another defensive fighter, stationary, reflective, with energy to battle for days if need be. Occasionally another warrior would enter into the fray, sometimes from Mendothrax's army, sometimes from his opponents. These distractions were swiftly dispatched, and the champions continued their fight. As they fought, circling one another, matching blow for blow and block for blow and blow for block, it dawned on Mendothrax that here at last he was fighting the perfect mirror. It became more a game, almost a dance, than a battle of blood. It was not until Mendothrax missed his own step, striking too soon, throwing himself off balance, that the promenade was ended. He saw, rather than felt, the mercenary's blade rip across him from throat to chest, a good strike, the sort he himself might have delivered. Mendothrax fell to the ground, feeling his life passing. The mercenary stood over him, prepared to give his worthy adversary the killing blow. It was a strange, honorable deed for an outsider to do. Mendothrax was greatly moved. Across the battlefield, he heard someone call a name similar to his own. Jurafax. I think that's a J. The mercenary removed his helmet to answer the call. As he did so, Mendothrax saw through the slits of his helmet his own reflection in the man. It was his own close-slit eyes, red and brown hair, thin and wide mouth, and blunt chin. For a moment he marveled at the mirror, before the stranger turned back to him and delivered the death strike. Jurafax returned to his commander and was well paid for his part in the day's victory. They retired for a hot meal under the stars in the garden by an old careen that had previously been occupied by their foes. The mercenary was strangely quiet as he observed the land. "Have you been here before?" Jurifax asked one of the tribesmen who had hired him. I was born a horseman just like you. My mother sold me when I was just a babe. I have always wondered how my life would have been different if I had not been bartered away. I might have never been a mercenary. There are many things that decide our fate, said the witch. It is madness to try and see how you might have taken this turn or that in the world. There are none exactly like yourself, so it is foolish to compare. But there is one, said Jurifax, looking at the stars. My master, before he set me free, said that my mother had twin sons when I was born. She could only afford to raise but one child, but somewhere out there is a man just like me, my brother. I hope to meet him. The witch saw the spirits before her and knew the truth, that the twins had met already. She remained silent and stared into the fire, banishing the thoughts from her head, too wise to tell all. Huh. That was a really good book. Really kind of goes into the whole idea of defensive maneuvers with a shield. One that I lack, unfortunately. Alright, Erik. Let's head back to Markarth. Okay. Let's head off. Well. The sun's already up. It's still early in the morning. Should be able to get to Markarth in a good time and talk to those villagers or those miners just outside the city. This will be the first time back to Markarth after Madanok was set free. Hopefully it's not a ruin. I mean, the windmill's still there. That's already a good sign. There's not really any smoke beside the mist and the fog. So that's also a good sign. Got it. Ugh. Man, Erik, you're slow. It wasn't over there. It was over there. I'm pretty sure it was someone in this village over here. Or this area. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I was gonna ask him, but he seems a bit busy. I can ask this guy. Hello, ma'am.
Kolskeggr, overrun with foresworn. What next?
Oh, I've already cleared it out. Who would I talk to?
Did you hear that? Pavo was driven out of his mine.
I
Almost
know.
everyone is dead.
I mean, I guess I could check in here, I suppose. Yeah, Pavlo or whatever his name was.
I trust you're not planning any trouble. What can
no.
I do for you, friend?
Oh, I need to talk to your buddy here.
Kolskeggr Mine is lost, friend. Foresworn killed everyone.
I heard your tale. On the way over, I kind of cleared it out and fully cleared out the mine for you. Gold mine, correct?
You drove them off? By
Yes.
yourself? Thank you.
Kind
We'll
of.
head back to work right away. Take this. It's the least I can do.
Oh. Oh, wow, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, wow. Yeah, sorry.
Hello. Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too. Anyway, I gotta head out. Alright, well, he's heading over there as well. So that's a good sign. So at least people will actually start living there. I wonder if anyone else is actually heading over there as well. Or Wait, he's gathering his
Thank
things.
the divines we survived that.
Those Forsworn were fierce fighters. Fiercer than I could have imagined.
Alright, well. Do I dare go inside? Alright, well. Even though I wear some Forsworn stuff, no one's attacking me. So I got the Forsworn boots on. But I can't actually really tell. It's really hard to tell. If I had the full body armor, then that would be a different story. Maybe the Jarl. The Jarl might have something. Or some clue as to where Madanach might be. But I need to go check the general store. Sell some of the stuff that I have. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the previous chapter. Dar-Zeen has written a new journal entry. Click the link in the description and read it before the next chapter. If you want to be notified of future chapters, be sure to subscribe. We hope to see you again.